All right, this watch a couple of videos here. See if everything working.
We have federal workers across the country that have been missing paychecks. We have SNAP recipients, millions of SNAP recipients across the country that, whose access to food stability was imperiled. And we have to figure out what that was for, because you had both the capitulation in the Senate and you have the refusal and the outright cruelty among House Republicans and the White House, who went to court to try to sue for their ability to deny people's access to food. This is the reality that we're in right now, and we need to act like it, and we cannot enable this kind of cruelty with our cowardice.
Yeah, your cowardice is treating American people like a pawn. All right, let's go.
Well, it was just supposed to be.
All right, so let me stop sharing and then share again to get that one in there. All right, let's go.
A 90-day DUI sentence at the Cumberland County Prison. But 41-year-old Eric Garner never made it home, unfortunately. In fact, less than a day after he was booked, he was beaten to death, allegedly by his own cellmate. CBS 21's Kennedy Miller spoke to his family, who say they are completely heartbroken and they want answers tonight.
But this was just cold-blooded murder. He murdered him.
I still feel like it's a nightmare. It's not real.
On October 23rd, 41-year-old Eric Gaynor took his last breath. He was a father, brother, son, and beloved bartender from Williamsport. His family tells me he was known for his kind heart and humor.
He took a kind, gentle soul. Eric wouldn't hurt a fly. And for his last moments to be that fear.
He just had an energy that was undeniable. He touched everyone that he was around.
Gaynor had just started a 90-day DUI sentence on October 22nd. His girlfriend, Tessa Shorb, dropped him off that afternoon, never imagining it would be the last time she saw him alive.
I told him that, don't worry, it is one of the safest jails, the nicest jails. Like, it's going to be easy. You're going to get through it.
But the next day, she got a call no one wants to receive.
I mean, it wasn't even 24 hours from when I dropped him off at 1:30 to Wednesday when I got the phone call from the warden.
Investigators say the man that you see on your screen, 33-year-old D'Angelo Nallen, walked into Gaynor's cell, beat him to death while he slept. Nallen is now charged with criminal homicide and remains in custody at Cumberland County Prison.
It was tough to see him like that. I'm really mad.
I don't know why you would beat somebody like that, no matter what was said or anything.
He took the better part of me. I mean, if I could trade places with Eric, I would have, in a heartbeat.
As the family continues to grieve, they're holding on to memories of who Eric was.
Well, God bless the family. This is
Senate Democrats and Republicans have struck.
jail ain't no joke. No excuse, but jail is no joke.
Struck a deal and the government looks set to reopen. But there's one important part to this deal the media isn't telling you. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Before we begin, be sure to leave a comment below with the American flag emoji to show YouTube's algorithm that we've got engagement. And while you're down there, make sure you're still subscribed, just to be safe. So in an update to the episode I did covering the government shutdown, the government is no longer shut down. Kind of. On Sunday night, Senate Republicans, along with 8 Democrats, reached a deal to reopen the government. The deal still needs to go through a final vote in the Senate before it gets sent over to the House of Representatives, but otherwise it seems good to go. But there you have it, crisis averted. The government's opening back up. And we won't have to deal with this again until January 30th. Okay then. So this deal is actually just a continuing resolution set to expire after 3 months. And when that time is up, we get to do this all over again. So what did this deal actually accomplish exactly? Well, the continuing resolution gives full-year funding for the Department of Veterans Affairs and Military Construction, the Department of Agriculture, the Food and Drug Administration, and Congress itself, because of course. Okay, great. But what about the Obamacare subsidies? You know, the thing that kicked off this whole mess in the first place? And what about all the government employees who got furloughed? Are they coming back or what? Well, let me just summarize that with no and kind of, but actually no. First, Democrats and Republicans agreed that there would be a vote on whether or not to fund the Obamacare subsidies sometime in mid-December. Notice I said they agreed to a vote, not funding, but a vote.
Correct.
Based on what Republicans are saying, when that vote comes, the answer will still be no.
We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that.
But it's actually more than just a no from Republicans. President Trump is encouraging Senate Republicans to redirect those government funds away from Obamacare and, quote unquote, money-sucking insurance companies, and instead give that money to Americans directly. Also, unrelated, terminate the filibuster. Just had to sneak that one in. So it's not looking good for Democrats. By allowing this deal to go through, Democrats basically sacrificed all of their leverage just so Republicans could shoot down their main policy objective at a later date. Senator Bernie Sanders called the deal a horrific mistake, while Gavin Newsom described it as
He's a commie, and he is one of the worst governors we have ever had in the United States.
a betrayal.
That I can remember.
Rank and file Democrats were none too happy either. Liberal influencer and Biden hype man Harry Sisson had this to say.
We bent the knee, we caved. It is pathetic.
Yes, many were sad. Others were angry. Like this user who called on his followers to torture Chuck Schumer for failing to stop the deal.
Oh my
and that
goodness.
post got more than 20,000 likes. But I suppose it's good there's at least one thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on. So, score one for Republicans. But what about Democrats? Did they get anything out of this? Well, the deal would at least reinstate the more than 4,000 federal employees who were laid off during the shutdown and ensure back pay to everyone who was furloughed. Not bad, not bad. This was sort of a big deal for Democrats. As I covered in last week's election episode, those out-of-work federal employees are part of the reason Democrats overperformed in states like Virginia. Now, you may remember Russ Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, who orchestrated these firings. I tell you, he must be fuming now that all those workers are coming back. I guess the Reaper wasn't so scary after all, right? Right?
Wrong.
Well, hold on just a second. As that Axios article points out, there's nothing to prevent the White House from conducting layoffs starting in February. Wait, why is that? Well, there's a few reasons. First, the federal civilian workforce consists of over 2 million people, and the 4,000 who got fired, that was just a test run. Vought used the shutdown as an opportunity for the OMB to reshape other agencies. He issued memos redefining who is and who isn't essential. He drew up lists of agencies to be gutted. He also set out procedures for how to do it. Now, this is where it gets interesting. By agreeing to reopen the government, Democrats handed Vought everything he needs to see his plan through. You see, now that the government is reopening, the OMB will have a budget again.
Yep.
That means it can pay out severance, unemployment, and relocation costs when all those government positions are abolished. It also gives Vought legal cover. If you start firing people while the government's closed, it can be challenged in court as some sort of vengeful shutdown tactic. But if it happens while the agencies are funded, well, that's just reorganization and fiscal alignment. Of course, there's always the possibility the government will shut down again come January 30th, in which case We're back to a war of attrition where every bureaucrat is forced to ask the question, how long can I go without getting paid? Now, if you go back to the episode I mentioned earlier, the one I did when the shutdown first started, you'll know why this is important. It all comes back to Project 2025, which Vote helped write. It says that in order to carry out the president's desires, political appointees must be given the tools, knowledge, and support to overcome the federal government's obstructionist human resources departments. More fundamentally, the new administration must fill its ranks with political appointees. This is what the media has completely missed out on. The shutdown wasn't just about some fight over health care. It was Trump's chance to lay the groundwork for a massive purge. And now that the OMB will have its funding, that purge can begin in earnest. By seizing control of the bureaucracy and filling key positions with loyalists, Trump and the Republicans will have as much, if not more, control over the government than if they had passed new laws. At that point, terminating the filibuster would just be the cherry on top. So while the shutdown might be over for now, the fight over who really runs Washington is just getting started. What do you think? Leave your comments below. And be sure to head over to AmericaUncovered.tv. There you'll always get updates on our recent episodes, access to exclusive deep dives, and a chance to talk with me and the team. That's AmericaUncovered.tv. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.
All right, that's enough for right now. Well, let me see. Let's listen to AOC. Let's go a little bit longer.
Should Chuck Schumer stay as minority leader?
AOC, who is coming for Chuck Schumer, she wants his head on a plate or on a pike or however they're doing beheadings these days, whatever they do with the head after, that's where she wants Schumer's head. But here she is asked about Schumer, and she slightly walks it back right now, which is a little bit interesting.
Should Chuck Schumer stay as minority leader?
I think what is so important for folks to understand is that this problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate. You had 8 Senate Democrats who coordinated their own votes on this, as well as you have 2 retiring members. Many of them are also up in several cycles from now, with the hope that people are going to forget this moment. And I think what's important is that we understand that this is not just that a leader is reflected as a reflection of the party. And Senate Democrats have selected their leadership to represent them. And
thank God you're not it. But once you become the leader or you get in that power, I hope the American people reject you in a majority.
So the question needs to be bigger than just one person. We have several Senate primaries this cycle.
Okay, so there's a couple interesting things here. Remember, Chuck Schumer was not one of the 8 senators who voted to open the government because he wanted cover, which again is exactly what Scott Jennings predicted. So even though he wanted cover, so he could say, well, I didn't do it, he's obviously getting no grace out of her. Also, it's interesting, she says 8 Senate Democrats coordinated their own votes. Are you telling me that Democrats, and you're a Democrat, AOC, you mean that some people just disagree with you and do different things? That seems like it's good. It's healthy to have some infighting in a party. It's healthy to have a battle of ideas. But she then goes on to say, we're going to primary their asses. So this is why the filibuster option, I'm sympathetic to Donald Trump's position. The progressives are here to rot out whatever remains of the Democrat Party, take power, and never give it up. Socialists don't give up power willingly.
All right, that'll be it for tonight. Appreciate it. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You want more of it or not? Hope to hear from you.